Three, two, one. Hey everybody, Tom Britt coming to you live from Geist Reservoir with the Geist magazine. And this is going to be the first of a series of little podcasts we plan to do. We're calling them Lunch and Learns. So just sitting at your desk and checking social media all day, you can actually maybe tune in and watch a live broadcast through our Geist magazine page and maybe learn something for once and go home and talk to your spouse about what you learned today from Geist magazine. Now, our first guest today, and this will be no surprise to Geist Reservoir residents, he's the commissioner of the Indiana State Commission on Securities. And let me get his picture pulled up here. Let's do, there he is, Mr. Alex Glass. Alex, thank you for joining me today.
Well, thanks for having me, Tom.
And just so everybody knows, Alex is coming from downtown at his office. He's not coming from a bunker in a remote location, as you might think. But Alex, you had some big news this week. You guys launched a new Securities Portal, and it's securities.sos.in.gov. Tell me about the website. Why did you guys need this website?
Well, establishing an online presence to ease both constituent and industry interaction with the office has been a very high priority of Secretary Lawson. In fact, in the last couple of years, we've really been working on a top-bottom redo or upgrade of all our technology systems. So we started with our case management system, went to our registration system, and the portal is just kind of the last aspect of that upgrade.
Gotcha. So let me ask you this, Alex. I think Geist is kind of like the Bethlehem of fraud. I mean, we're the birthplace of fraud, at least locally here in Indiana. I think we've had Marcus Schrenker jump out of airplanes. We've had Tim Durham with 30-some cars in a garage. We've had Keenan Houck, who kind of went under the radar because he was the third one in his line of procession of fraudsters. Just right. How prevalent is fraud, like securities fraud? Is it more prevalent than we know?
Well, I mean, that's a hard question really to say. What I can tell you is we get approximately 200 complaints a year from Hoosiers on various issues related to our jurisdiction. At any given time, we're going to be investigating 60 to 70 cases that'll be both administrative and criminal. Securities is a very difficult area of law, so I think there's a lot of confusion. I mean, you throw in the federal aspects with the state aspects, but it's very different to go from potentially being confused for a registration issue to running a Ponzi scheme or just starting up a hedge fund to just steal money from hardworking Hoosiers. So it's definitely something that we're looking at. It's nationwide. You'll obviously every once in a while see a big case come out, but in Indiana, the big names you just mentioned, Schrenker, Houck, Durham, there's some other big cases that, the scam documentary, which I think we'll talk about in a little bit. So our office has definitely investigated this and, it's out there. So everybody needs to be real careful about
it. So do you watch American Greed? You watch the show and...
Well, I mean, of course. I mean, that's one of my favorite shows, and I believe I was today that actually watching an episode is kind of what got me interested in this area to begin with, and kind of brought me to the office.
Yeah, and tell me that backstory, because you told me yesterday this backstory, but I think it's interesting how you ended up where you are, because I'm always fascinated by people's backgrounds, how they ended up being, in charge of Securities Commission in Indiana. How did you get started in this?
Well, basically, I was working a great private sector job, director of operations at a small marketing research company in Carmel. Financial downturn happened, couldn't pay the salaries anymore. So I was just home one night after being laid off, turned on TV, American Greed's on. It happens to be the Marcus Schrenker crash and burn episode. So I'm watching that episode, and it's very interesting, obviously. And a law school classmate of mine happens to be on there. She was working at DOI at the time. So saw it, I gave her a call, said, hey, I find this interesting. You have any openings in the office? No, but she said, hey, check out the securities division. They're always looking for good people. So actually applied for an investigator job. I had my law license at the time, so it was a pretty extreme pay cut. But the thought was, hey, I'll get in, do this. If I enjoy it, I can move up to being an attorney in a couple, when something opens. And the rest of the path just kind of happened, and the secretary appointed me as commissioner on July 1st, 2015. So I've been here ever since.
That's interesting. I'm always fascinated by people's backstories because especially when I see people out that have such a niche job like you do. Talk about the office, because you have a whole staff. You've got a lot of people that work 5 days a week on fraud protection and fraud prevention. What else are you guys doing besides the website to maybe enlighten people about how to spot fraud, how to avoid fraud, or maybe how to pinpoint one out of a crowd?
Well, I think first to add to what you said, we do have a great staff here, a great staff in the entire Secretary of State's office, but the Securities Division in particular, about a lot of hardworking civil servants. And what people don't realize is it's not just securities that we regulate. We also regulate loan brokers, collection agencies, franchises, continuing care retirement communities. You name it, it seems if they don't know a place to put it, they throw it in the Securities Division. So a very hardworking staff, but in particular, there's three aspects to what we do. There's registration, enforcement, and then outreach. We have two great investor education coordinators. Our senior investor education coordinator is Kelly Greasy, and our junior one is named Kylie Hale. And they travel the state. They educate seniors on investment fraud. They educate young people on financial literacy, which that change happened about 5 years ago when Secretary Lawson came in. We used to just focus on fraud prevention education. She came in and really said, we need to hit this at both ends and, teach the young people and then educate the seniors and adults on. So we hit both aspects of financial literacy and fraud prevention. They travel the state. Everything's free. We have a lot of great programs. I don't know how much in detail you want me to get about some of those programs, but, we're always looking for new opportunities and ways to spread the Secretary's message.
So if people are out there watching this and they maybe they've got a school group, or maybe they've got an investment club, or perhaps they just are looking for guest speakers to come in and talk about some of the initiatives from the state, they can contact your office, I assume, and maybe contact you guys and have you come out and talk to them. Does that sound good?
Absolutely. They go to indianamoneywise.com and they can contact Kelly or Kylie. We have a lot of programs. One of my favorite programs we do is actually they come out and we'll take over classes for an entire day for a teacher. And so, the teacher gets to put their feet up, have a break for the day, and they teach the kids about fraud prevention or whatever topics they want to learn about. And I think it's a great program. I mean, they've gone all the way down south, Bedford, up north. Kylie was in Goshen the other day. So, I mean, we will travel anywhere, and it's free of cost, free of charge. And I think it's a great program for kids.
Maybe Kylie can come out and actually run my business for a few days for me and be a substitute publisher. Would that I mean, we're a franchise too, because you could write it off as franchise fraud protection or something, right?
No, if it reaches that far, but hey, if you want to get a couple of your employees together, I'm sure we could put together a program for that.
Well, that's awesome. Well, Alex Glass, the Indiana Securities Commissioner, thank you so much for spending lunch with us today. Again, if you guys want more information about this, I'm going to put this on the screen right now. This is the website, securities.sos.in.gov. They're part of the Secretary of State's website. And also, you can go on Facebook, Indiana MoneyWise, and follow them on Facebook. I've seen several things you guys are doing on Facebook as far as some videos you put out, some games and things you guys do, kind of engage with people, but at least bring up the topic of fraud prevention. I think nobody wants to think they've been frauded or defrauded, and maybe before they invest another nickel, they might go to this new portal you guys rolled out this week and at least look them up and make sure they're a legit securities investor.
Yeah, absolutely. Investing, always investigate before you invest. That is the most important thing. No matter, some of the ones you mentioned earlier, those are very trusted individuals. So, but you still got to do your research and do your homework before you part with that hard-earned money.
All right. Well, David's on my screen over here making comments. Alex, thank you so much for spending lunch with us. And everybody, again, securities.sos.in.gov. Have a great rest of your lunch, everyone, and thanks for tuning in. The comments can be passed along to the Securities Division. So if you guys have questions, we'll pass those along to them. And until then, David, or I almost said it again, Alex, thank you so much.
Maybe I'll wear a name tag next time.
I'm looking at your name right here. All right, have a good day.
Thank you.